All right, and here is the news. Now, firstly, I want to talk about bricks.
What, cars on bricks? Or?
Not quite. So until now, if you wanted to own your favorite supercars or dream cars in brick form, you were confined to what Lego offered. But more recently, Mattel have brought their brick shop into the sort of equation, and they've come out with a whole bunch of new brands, and you know more about this, so tell us, what's new?
Well, firstly, I just want to say I love the Lego stuff. I know we are talking Mattel, but the Lego stuff, I'll have a quick story about this. I had a Defender, picked up one. My son decided in infinite wisdom just to open up every bag and empty into this big pile of stuff. Took me a week to do, but it was so satisfying, apart from the fact that he put the last brick in and claimed it was him. Took me a week. But anyway, yeah, but Mattel they've gone and picked up Lamborghini, Aston Martin, and even Toyota. It's kind of weird, but they've sort of gone for that spectrum of bringing to life different brands and collaborated with those. So I actually want to get my hands on one of those kits and keep my son away from it and see how we get on. But it is an interesting thing.
And not to forget Honda, because a friend of mine has gotten one of the NSXs and it looks really cool. It is a little bit of a departure from what Lego had been doing. It is a little bit more round, a little bit less bricky, and it has a lot of moving parts that the Lego cars don't have. So it's not the same. It is still very much about building your own car, but it adds that differentiation on top of what Lego does. But love it.
And the pricing will be different as well, I would assume, because, you need an arm and a leg. You almost have to buy a supercar for a Lego kit now.
If I'm not mistaken, there was actually an Acura NSX as well, although I know Honda and Acura are the same company effectively.
Oh, yeah.
But moving the conversation to North America, I've got to raise the point of a whole batch of Ferraris, 46 if I'm not mistaken, recently went to auction, and a majority of them were yellow. This is the Bachmann collection, for those who know. And they all set records. I mean, the Enzo went for nearly 18 million US dollars. There was a 288 GTO, F40, F50, LaFerrari, the whole host of dream cars. But the thing I want to raise is that all of these cars had 150 miles or less. I think the most was one of the 80s Ferraris, which had 2,000 miles on it. And you have to ask the question of, all of these were designed as driver's cars, not as garage queens. So is it an injustice to just leave them parked up?
It's horrendous. I'm torn though. Being a businessman, I guess you want to go, okay, here's an investment. You spent $1 million, $2 million, whatever it is, 15 million or whatever it is. Do you want to drive it and have all the risk of it being damaged, the wear and tear and stuff like that? But then I'm then tormented by the fact of, should it be stuck in a garage and nobody seeing it, or a museum? I know you don't drive a Rembrandt, but gee, I don't know. I think they should be distinct. Cars should be driven, in my mind.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that there is a big point to be made about the fact that you just said you cannot drive a painting. And usually what you buy and then you expect it to grow over time are like stocks or an investment property. A car is supposed to do something else. Yes, you can admire it, you can drool all over, especially if it's yellow like this, as we were talking about. But it is meant to be driven. And you know that at a certain point when the car is bought in those conditions, it's not going to be driven. It's just going from one garage to the other, which is a little bit of a shame when you're considering that those kind of machines. It's just sad.
Okay, does the equation change though if it is, say, a 1960s Ferrari 250 GTO, which then sold for nearly 40 million US dollars? That's like driving, an Auckland street down the road.
I'm still stuck on that fence and leaning towards it. Yes, it should be driven. It's, even if it goes to a classic event like the Ellerslie and stuff like that, and it's driven around the car park, it needs to be experienced. And most of these you can't even touch or feel. They're roped around, and that for me is horrendous. You might as well have a poster or a picture of it. I don't know. Get Rembrandt to paint it, and there you go.
And this GTO sort of sets a different narrative to the whole thing with the auctions, because the number, even though it is outrageous at 40 million, was a little bit below what were the initial expectations for how much it would sell for, which then just sort of shows that we might be seeing a little bit of a change in the public that is now getting access to these cars and what they're actually interested in. Of course, some people that are sort of around my age, but on a completely different tax bracket are now getting access to the funds that allow them to get Enzos, F50s, and all the things that I grew up sort of having as posters. And of course, it does reflect in the figures that we have been seeing. So yeah, to the classics, I guess.
Get an OnlyFans account. That would be a reason for it. I'd pay not to view that, actually.